This is reality TV that works. Startups, made in Kansas City.
Kansas City has a great environment for banking. We take our strength from our community and we put our resources back into our community. When banks look to lend money, there are generally 5 things we look at. And those 5 things we call the 5 C's of credit. It's actually pretty simple. First is cash flow. Is the business cash flow positive? That's very important for us to make sure that we can get paid back for the money that we extend. Second is capital. Is there an adequate capital base for the organization to grow on? The third are conditions, the terms and conditions by which we'll make the loan available to you. The fourth one is collateral. We have to have something, some basis upon which we're going to lend. That collateral can be personal collateral or it can be business collateral. And the last one, and by far the most important, is character. I learned a long time ago that you actually don't lend money to companies, you lend money to individuals. And so getting to know you, getting to understand your plan, and getting to really understand who you are as a person is equally as important, probably more important than the other 4. And so keep that in mind. Talk to your banker. And there's one rule in banking I would also want to impress upon you. Don't ever let us be surprised. So to the extent that we do extend credit, keep us informed. That's part of building character and it's part of building a long-term relationship.
A co-production of KCPT and Outpost Worldwide. At home in Kansas City. Production, post, content.